Now I see a theme of romance causing problems for a lot of your characters, which is not unexpected in a book that leans towards romance. Do your Amish friends see Amish romance as the same kind of difficulty as you do, or do they not talk about it? What's their reaction to the way that you've written their story?
Well, since the Amish do a lot of reading, you know, because they don't have the TV and the radio and the movies and the, you know, so they are allowed to read fiction, and they enjoy inspirational fiction because it is clean. So that element of romance in the Amish books hasn't caused much in the way of, there may be an occasional bishop or preacher who's a little concerned that we're not showing the strength that it takes, the inner character that it takes to make a marriage work. We're working more on the romance. I know with my novels, though, because they start with book one and it takes a long time for everything to work out, that there's a little less intense romance at the beginning until they are rooted in who the other one is, and they know that this is someone they're willing to fight for or with to make the relationship work. So since there's a lot of that in inspirational fiction, a lot of digging a little bit deeper, there doesn't seem to be too much resistance against it.
Since your editor is traveling with you on this leg of your book tour, could you describe how you work with her? And please complain if you'd like. That'd be fine. We're looking for all the juicy details. How do you work with your editor? What happens? How is that person function as a critique or not a critique partner for you?
She is a great brainstorming at the beginning, helping me get it going. She's great at stepping in if there's some issues in between. But we don't work together to do the chapter by chapter or working out all the integral parts of the scenes. So she steps in two main times, when we're working on the overall synopsis at the beginning, and then if there is an issue that comes up while I'm writing it that I'm going, you know, I said I would have this in the book and it's not working out that way. Are you okay with that? And sometimes she is, and sometimes she's like, well, could we try this, or you know, would this work? So the relationship changes, I think, with each book depending on where I am, you know, and where she is, the need that she has. A few times we've put some threads in a book that didn't quite work out and we were finished. We're like, this is not where this needs to go. Let's look at taking that person's point of view out and have the same story, but we can't get inside their mind if it's too much that might be something offensive in that person's point of view.
Okay. Because I was curious, you said if something is not in the book that was supposed to be in the book, so you have certain themes that you want to hit in each book that you work out ahead of time, like the synopsis, you'll have themes like that. Is that what you mean by things not being there that you were expecting to be there, or that maybe just contractually supposed to be there? Is that what you were getting at?
Well, when you write the synopsis, because I'm not writing the whole book when I'm putting it under contract, I'm just writing a short, this is what the book's going to be about. And then we need to get down into the nitty-gritty of, okay, where was this character born? Are we going to take them to Ohio, and what happens? And you know, a scene that I have not written yet, coming up in book 2, is between a bull, okay, and a character is going to be gored by this bull, and so she just wants to make sure that I've done enough research to make it play out the way it needs to play out, not based on what you see on TV or what some other book has said, but make sure that it's going to play out in a very realistic way. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Are there strictures on violence in these books as well? That the Amish, I mean, clearly the romance is something that's handled really carefully. When you have a scene like that, is that also handled really carefully? There are certain things you don't want to do because you're worried about either the readership for the book or the Amish readership. I'm just curious. I don't know.
Well, I think in inspirational fiction, you definitely are labeling it, okay?
Right.
And when someone opens a can of corn, they only want corn in there, okay? So inspirational fiction is not going to have things too graphic.
Right.
And I think it actually makes the book stronger, because rather than someone having to cringe or someone having to read something that was too detailed, they get up to that point, and you've seen movies that way. You know what's going to happen and it breaks, but you know what took place in those few moments. So inspirational fiction does a fair amount of that. And then in writing Amish, of course, I don't want to offend where I would not want to have someone in there who had left the Amish faith and joined the military and then follow them through the military, because the Amish are non-resistant and they don't participate in that. So that would be something I would want to avoid. But as far as the Amish all being good or all being upstanding citizens, I certainly don't write that way, and I know my Amish friends have freed me in that. They're like, we are not perfect. And then you get in there and you learn that everyone has their struggles just like we do, and can write about that freely.
Okay. What sort of suggestions do you have for people who are aspiring writers who would like to do what you're doing? What are some of the best ways, without giving away the farm, creating competition for yourself? What can they do that you think is really useful?
I think two main things: read some really good books on writing, and practice it while you're reading it. If you just need to read one chapter and write for 4 weeks, do so, but make sure you understood all of what that chapter was saying. And there's some great books out there.
Like what?
Well, my favorite is Stein on Writing, by Saul Stein. Okay. There's a book by Brandolyn Collins called Getting into Character, and she teaches the method acting and how to use that for the written page.
Method writing?
Yeah. When she's done with it, it is.
Okay. So you take on the persona, you do a little bit of Marlon Brando-esque writing, and move from there?
Yeah, it works for me really well. And then the second thing would be to go to writing conferences where you can connect with editors and agents. You can turn in a chapter of your work and they can read it, and many conferences, they will critique it and send back their opinion, and that's very helpful.
Is that how it worked for you? Is that
yes.
how you got into it? Okay.
Yes, it was. The editor that I now have, I went to a conference called Mount Hermon. It's in Mount Hermon, California, and I was able to turn in a chapter to 2 editors and an agent, and then got feedback on those chapters. And she really liked my voice. She liked the idea of what I was writing, although at the time, all I had heard from other editors was, we aren't doing Amish, we aren't doing Amish, we aren't doing Amish. So this was several years ago, before it was hot.
Before then, okay. And the Amish know they're hot right now. They're,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
there
There's
aren't.
a spring in their step.
I don't think they understand why. They're looking at their lives, without electricity and having to hook up this horse and buggy, and they're going, why are people interested in this? But they do know.